What the sheriff had told me was that he believed that he started to, he had moved out to this really rural space. And when I say rural, what you're thinking of is one thing, and that's not it. This is rural. This is people having tires as fences, not hardly being able to pass by on the roads, and like living in little plywood buildings that they've built themselves. And I think out there he became even more isolated and probably bought in more and more to his own worldview in those years after I left. And then one day he started to believe that the county road that passed by his property belonged to him. So anybody who drove by, he began shooting semi-automatic weapons at. And he shot off, I believe they said, over 3,000 rounds that morning. And by the time they called me and were trying to, that I got a call from my father-in-law telling me, you need to call the sheriff. They want to know how dangerous he is. What kind of guns do you remember he has? Because they were going to go in and get him. He hadn't hurt anyone, but he had shot at their cars. He had shot, even when the sheriff went out to take a statement from a neighbor, he had shot at the sheriff to tell you how skewed his perception. He believed he believed it was happening. He believed this was the collapse. And I think he believed it was kind of like the Wild West. We're not obeying laws anymore, and stay off my county road. When we went out there days later, there were bullet casings by the thousands just everywhere. And fortunately, he did not end up hurting anyone. They did go in and obtain him in the evening. They had blocked off the road. If you saw how many rounds he had shot off and how they were just scattered everywhere, you would be very surprised that he didn't hurt anyone. And the neighbors, because this was such a rural area, were telling the sheriff, well, we're going to start shooting back. I mean, it's not funny. It's not a laughing matter, but it was bizarre. It was a bizarre incident. I think they were all very confused by it. Nobody really knew what exactly had triggered it, but it seemed like there was some sort of a mental break that had caused it. Excuse me.
That is frightening. Did you stay driving down a road and then next thing you know, your car is being
Yeah.